I was reflecting about my journey to becoming alcohol free, and you may know my story, but 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago today, I was coming down the mountain. But 5 years ago, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I think that was the turning point for me, having the space and the time to go on such an epic journey. And you were walking a lot of the day, potentially in silence. There were obviously, I did it with a group of people, but there were times, especially I remember on the Wednesday, I woke up just feeling like everything was going wrong. I think I spilt water all over my bag. I woke up in a bit of a funky mood, and this was about half, well, we then summited on the Thursday, so I think maybe it was all just getting to me a little bit. But I remember just walking through what looked like a desert plain for hours to get towards base camp. And it was one of those times where I really remember I put my headphones in and just thought, right, I'm just going to be in my own space. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to just be in my own thoughts and listen to music and get myself out of this state. And actually, by the time I'd been walking a couple of hours, I felt so much better. But sometimes we do need that space to reflect, that space to really take that time to understand what's going on and notice things. And I'm so grateful for the experience because I remember I took loads of photos, I learned Swahili, I was speaking to all the guides and porters, I was trying to keep people in the group chippy and happy. And that morning, I remember one of the main guides saying to me, "Gosh, we can't have that. Where's your smile gone? You've got to get your smile back." And it seemed to have become my role to help everyone keep going. But I loved seeing the contrast of nature. I remember, as I said, 5 years ago, we were coming down the mountain and we started off when we went up and summited, we started at midnight and it should have taken 6 hours. It took 8 hours to get to the top. And that was because it was blizzards, the weather was really bad, to the point that our UK guide said he'd done it. This was his 11th time. And he was surprised that we didn't ask to go back because he had never seen the conditions so bad. So we'd apparently done really well to get up there. But we got there, and I remember just thinking, now we've got to come down. And you've got so much adrenaline getting up there. And then I remember getting home and looking down this huge mountain and thinking, how am I ever going to have the energy to do that? Because I just lost all my energy. And anyway, long story short, I eventually got back to base camp and it was all fine. But you do muster this strength inside you, this power when you're in situations that are outside of your comfort zone, when you're in situations that aren't quite what you know. You realize you have it inside you and you can do anything that you want to do and that you put your mind to. And coming back down, going through from snow and blizzard environment all the way as you go down the mountain, it changes. And we ended up in a rainforest and there were monkeys everywhere. And it was an incredible experience. I highly recommend it if you get the opportunity to do it. But while I was on that mountain, I was thinking there was more. I remember realizing the world is so vast and there are so many opportunities for people. And just because you're doing what you're doing now doesn't mean that's what you've got to do forever. And I had this passion ignite in me that I hadn't really felt, being able to do something and accomplish something that just was for me and that was something so outside of my comfort zone. But then I also felt we did it for charity, we did it for a children's charity, and we were raising money for single mums and to build houses and also helping children get sponsored. So that was a real great cause, and I got to visit one of the projects before and meet a family and went to their home. And it was so humbling just seeing how they lived, but how content they were. And then on top of it, they gave us gifts, which was just incredible. So it really changed my perspective. But I remember thinking, there's more, there's something else I need to be doing. And 5 years ago, I had no idea what that was. And when I look back, I got back to the hotel and I feel quite sad because the first thing I wanted to do was have a glass of champagne to celebrate. Well, I hadn't drunk anything for 6 days. We've been on the mountain for 6 days. I hadn't even thought about it. But that was the first thing I wanted to do when we got back, which is quite sad, really, in hindsight, because I'd done this epic thing with a group of amazing people. And why was it that I felt I needed to drink to celebrate and potentially dull what was an amazing achievement? But fast forward, we left Tanzania, went over to Kenya to fly home. I remember actually on the way seeing giraffes on the road, which was just incredible. But we got back and the world changed. And so a week later, I was working from home. A week after that, I think we were in official lockdown and everything shut down. And so I never really got to explore what that more was. But I remember sending all my photos to people and someone turning around to me and saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you took those photos because when I was on the mountain, I literally didn't see any of the things you've shared with us. I had my head down, I was looking at the feet of the guide in front of me, and that is all I did. It was getting one foot in front of the other. I didn't enjoy it as much as you obviously did because I just didn't even see half I took photos of like the butterflies and the caterpillars and then whatever foliage was around and then just the space and the mountain and other things. And I felt quite sad, but it's our model of reality. We can all choose what we see and what we don't see. And we experience things. My experience of something, whatever it is potentially going to be very different to your experience. And that's because of the way we see the world and the way we are. But we can change that as well. So I got back and not knowing what was going on, we just all sunk ourselves into work and our daughter was at home. And so there was the whole homeschooling thing and children being at home. And so, but along the way, I just kept having these niggles that there was more, there was something on the mountain that I'd left or that had stirred in me that I needed to explore further. So fast forward to October time, I then made the decision to take a 21-day break at the beginning of November from alcohol, and the rest is history, really. But I am so grateful for that experience. And this is why I'm so excited for the women who are going to be on the retreat, because I didn't realize how much I think I needed the space to breathe. And by stepping away and stepping into something completely different, it really just gave me that time to gain some clarity. And okay, I didn't act on it for what was another 7 or 8 months, but it really was incredible not having to answer emails, not having to check your phone, and just having the space to really awaken, I think, and connect to myself was really important. And I had this real clarity of what I truly wanted in my life, but in the sense of it wasn't, there was more for me to do, and what I was doing wasn't potentially it. And so that's why I've created the Finding Freedom Retreat, because I know what happens when women give themselves the space to pause, reflect, and expand. When you step into a space where it isn't a getaway, but it's more of a homecoming to yourself, you can really then give yourself that space to work out what it is you need truly, or what it is you really desire and want. And any desire that comes to you is already there, it's already yours. So you're going to spend 7 nights in Bali. I think it's a really powerful place, and it's energetically very just magical. And we'll be doing morning yoga in the shala, surrounded by nature. We're going to be doing coaching, and there'll be mindset shifts that are going to help you transform the way you see yourself. There'll be healing ceremonies, sound baths, Balinese rituals that will clear out whatever's been holding you back. And then we've got a number of excursions that aren't just amazing excursions, but designed to awaken something within you. And this kind of experience, it really will rewire you from a soul level, from a deep internal place. And imagine waking up to the sound of nature, feeling fully rested and at peace. No rushing, no checking the email, no obligations, no shoulds, just you. fully present with yourself, breathing again. And we're going to be sipping morning coffees and teas with other like-minded women who are going to see you in your highest potential. We'll go through the healing workshops that will help you bring yourself closer to the version that you have always wanted, that's been waiting for you to emerge. And I believe that as the week unfolds, you'll realize that this isn't just a trip, it's a rebirth. And so I really want you to experience this. And I know how important it is to understand yourself at a deeper level. So, on top of the retreat, I'm also going to give everyone a one-to-one human design session before we get to Bali, so that when we arrive, you're not just stepping into the space, but you are stepping into a new level of alignment. You'll understand why you've felt stuck in certain areas of your life, how to make decisions that feel right to you, the natural strengths that you were born with, and how to actually use them. Human design was a game changer for me, as it gave me permission to stop fighting against myself and start flowing with my natural energy. And I want you to have that same clarity before you even arrive at the retreat. But the retreat is really for the woman who's been waiting for a sign, for the woman who's been craving something more, for the woman who knows deep down that she's meant for bigger things, but needs the space to fully step into them. So I'm really excited for the women that are joining, and I can't wait to see you, to give you the biggest hug, and to just see the transformation that happens over the 7 nights. So it's the Finding Freedom Retreat in Bali. A lot of people say, when I ask them what does thriving alcohol-free mean to you, and you will have heard it on the podcast, a lot of people say freedom. And so finding freedom is really important. And it's something that I believe everyone deserves, everyone should have the time freedom, the freedom to just be able to do whatever they want, the financial freedom, all the freedoms. So it's 7 nights of transformation, healing, and self-discovery in a luxury retreat that's designed to help you reset, reconnect, and rise. And I believe the breakthrough moments are waiting for you there. So join me, join me on this journey. And I've created this container really to just enable you to step into your next chapter so that you can create your dreamiest life and start living that. And so if you're interested, I'd love to have a chat with you. You can book a call. You can find out more information. I will put the information in the show notes, or head to @Thrive Alcohol Free on Instagram, DM me, and we can have a conversation about it. But I'd love you to secure your spot. This is your time. You're worthy of this. I think that's another thing. A lot of people think that they can't do something like this because they don't deserve it. They're not worthy. They have to prioritize other things. But actually, there's never a perfect time, and you'll never get the right permission. You have to give yourself permission. And I think this is it. So if you're listening to this, if this is stirring anything inside with you, then I encourage you to book a call and let's have a chat.